This diagram illustrates the absolute minimum requirements for human survival. In South Asia, this foundation is known as roti, kapra, or makan: food, clothing, and shelter. These three needs are the load-bearing pillars of society. For most of us living in modern cities, we experience a cognitive disconnect. We walk into a grocery store or pull up an app, and these essentials are there. We rarely think about the physical process required to put a shirt on a rack or rice in a bowl. If you remove the systems that convert raw materials into finished goods, modern comfort vanishes. We aren't left with an empty room. We are left with a patch of dirt. The bridge across that gap is human labor, specifically a dedicated workforce known as the Peshevar, skilled tradespeople who dedicate their lives to manipulating raw nature into things we can actually use. Civilization runs on the specialized physical labor of people who dig, cut, weave, and build our habitat from the ground up. Let's start with the first pillar, food. The farmer, or kisan, operates an aggressive, multi-step agricultural supply chain that begins by physically breaking open the earth. It requires driving a plow through compacted soil, carefully spacing seeds, managing water irrigation over months, and finally executing the manual harvest. Once the crop is cut, the logistics phase begins. The harvest is bagged in thousands of burlap sacks, loaded onto transport, and pushed into the complex market supply chains that feed our cities. Once fed, we need protection from the elements. This requires the mason, the Raj. They are the engineers who take heavy raw materials like baked mud bricks and wet cement, stacking them to form structural walls. Inside those walls, the carpenter, or badai, takes over. They process raw timber, cutting and joining wood to build the functional infrastructure of a home, doors to keep the weather out, along with tables and chairs for daily use. These specific trades are foundational because they are literal earth movers. They force raw dirt, heavy stone, and tough wood into structural shapes, proving that our daily survival is a highly engineered state. This brings us to the second pillar, clothing. Here we hit a clear bottleneck. A farmer can grow endless fields of cotton, but extracting raw cotton by hand yields a plant, not a garment. The raw material must enter a new transformation pipeline. First, the fluffy cotton bolls are spun into continuous thread, and then that thread is woven into large sheets of cloth. That requires the weaver, the julaha. They act as a technological bridge, operating this complex mechanical rig to tightly interlock thousands of fragile threads into the durable fabric we wear. With our plates full, our bodies clothed, and a roof overhead, our demands evolve. We seek specialized utility and aesthetics, requiring items like kitchen utensils and jewelry. This requires the heat and heavy impact of the metalworkers. The blacksmith, the lohar, hammers rigid iron into durable tools and hardware. Meanwhile, the goldsmith, the sunar, refines precious metals like gold and silver into delicate chains and rings. When a society moves from weaving essential cloth to forging iron tools and gold rings, it transitions from basic survival to a state of elevated utility. Each specialized trade adds a layer of sophistication to daily life. This map shows how these distinct professions operate together as a deeply interdependent macroeconomic web. The farmer, weaver, builder, and smith are interconnected nodes feeding into modern society. But this interdependence creates vulnerability. Because the weaver relies on the farmer, a disruption anywhere forces a slowdown for everyone down the line. The collective labor of these peshevar provides the physical engine for a comfortable life. By mastering these specific trades, they transform a harsh environment into a state the source text calls sukhmai, or happy and comfortable. Look at your immediate surroundings: the screen you are watching, the clothes on your back,